Well, hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you're all doing well out there. Everybody ready for the weekend? Woohoo! I don't have any big plans for the weekend. In fact, we're going to be cloudy, potentially stormy this weekend, so I'm just going to hang here in the house, get some things done, have a little lazy time, and enjoy. Because I'm going down to Pensacola next week for a couple of nights. Pretty excited to get out of town. Got some friends that are coming into Pensacola for something they need to do. And yeah, I just thought I'd go down there and hang. But today I want to talk about would I follow a raw food diet anywhere under any circumstances. Guys, I do videos every day. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it if you would click on that red subscribe button now. Then be sure you click on the little bell and check send notifications just to stay subscribed to the channel. Somebody had asked me yesterday if you could get this design on, I think it was a V-neck shirt. I can put these designs on anything. I mean, it's just, I do print on demand, so, you know, I was just floating this one around, not being the vegan message, but people seem to really like this. So I'm going to put this on a number of things. I've got another little store opening up soon that's got different products in there, more yoga stuff and some different cut tops and stuff for the women. So stay tuned, stay tuned. So would I do a raw food diet anywhere, under any circumstances? Now, the tone of this video wants to be, let me explain a little bit, because people will probably not like this a little bit, and they'll give me some of their opinions on how you can do it anywhere. I'm talking about it from the standpoint of people ask me. I don't do recommendations. I was about to title this, would I recommend a raw food diet anywhere? And then I'm like, no, I don't like to recommend anything. I like to just frame it like I've done this whole channel. Like, what would I do? How do I do it? You know, it's just about me, and you take what you will from there. I don't know. Sometimes I almost think it's just like I want to ask people. I can't think outside of myself very well. I'm not very good at that. Like when people say, so Jack, I live here. What do you think I should do? I don't know, man. I've never lived in those conditions, and I've never done raw under those circumstances. And, you know, when we're talking about it, there's a number of circumstances. We're talking about location. We're talking about your economics. Can you afford it? What's available in the area? You know, your particular health makeup at the time. You know, what particular issues you were dealing with. One size does not fit all. But from my perspective, I don't understand it. And sometimes, like, you know, I have people that are constantly, and there's a number of people out there, I kind of keep an eye on them on social media in different places. They're just constantly coming up with something. They're asking this person on YouTube, and they're asking this person in the group. They're always throwing up a roadblock. They're always devil's advocate. Well, I can't do this here, blah, blah, blah. What should I? Well, I can't. I want to be raw foodist, but there's no fruit here. I want to be raw foodist, but the bananas cost $12 a pound. I want to be a raw foodist, and I live in I live in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the wilderness in Alaska. I don't know what to tell you. Now, I will say this. I would almost venture to say, from my experience and, you know, the different people I see on social media and the people that I've met and the people I've, you know, just become aware of on various platforms, yes, can it be done? So just to make crystal clear here, am I ever going to say, no, it cannot be done in these circumstances? Once again, I'm just talking about me and my preferences. And that's where I can't think outside of myself. I don't know. What if I'd have stumbled across videos about the raw food diet, or if I'd have got into this train of thought living in another place, what would my mentality be? I mean, I was living in Costa Rica when I did this. So this was like, we have a saying here, like falling off a log. I mean, you know, I didn't try a whole lot to adapt to a raw food diet when I first came to it. I lived in San Jose, Costa Rica, for Christ's sake. I walked by thousands of I probably, in a typical day, I bet you I passed 500 pineapples just from the various walking around I would do. Mangoes everywhere, papayas everywhere, fresh fruit everywhere, and we're talking even in the city now, every 50 feet I could find fruit. So it was super easy for me. You know, I don't know. What if I'd have heard that message when I was living in Fairbanks, Alaska in the wintertime? Would it have resonated? Would it have caught hold? You know, would it have caught hold, and would I have stayed there and slugged it out and tried to do all the tricks and whatever? Probably not. And that's where it comes into account for me, and that's where I want to make it very, very clear that these are my views on the subject. Now, somebody's going to come in and say, well, you can't just move away for the way you're eating. I'm saying my views, not your views, my views. Personally, if I was somewhere and it was very costly to eat like I'm eating, or it was very difficult to find any of the fruits I'm eating, if the fruits I was trying to eat were ridiculously expensive, if I mentioned yesterday, and people always crawl out of the woodwork and tell me like some really high prices on bananas, if bananas were uber expensive, would I be doing this lifestyle the way I do it? And I don't think so. I don't think so. But once again, it's hard to speculate. What if? What if it had gone this way? What if the circumstances were like this? I don't know. I'm just kind of spitting it here, but just in my best guess of my thinking and what I would do is if okay, by the time I had kind of come to this message of plant-based, raw, what have you, I was not a teetotaler. You know, I hadn't completely quit drinking, but I had gotten down to the point where I hadn't been drunk for 6 or 7 months. So I was a little bit more lucid, a little bit more clear in the head. But yeah, no, if I was somewhere else, I probably, if I was somewhere else and received and understood the information the same way I did at the time, and it really took, like the raw really took, probably my mentality is, although you got to take it from the mentality perspective of somebody that's 55, never been married, doesn't have kids, never has bought a house, owned a house, so I don't have roots I can pick up. So I'm probably thinking that if I had come to this lifestyle in a very harsh environment, well, okay, if it was location only, I would have probably started planning an exit plan. You know, depending on the money, depending on what kind of job I had at the time, depending on, you know, how long I thought it would take me to put together enough money to move somewhere else and get something going, I would probably be the mentality of I'm moving on. And that's even my mentality right now. You know, I'm not saying that who knows, you know, we don't know what life, we can't really plan. We don't know what life's going to be. I want to get, people say, well, are you going back to the tropics? Well, hell, I hope so. That's my plan. That's my desire. But a million things could come up in the meantime. But I think that's what kind of keeps me going, is knowing that I'm going to get to that place, or at least striving to get to that place, and not just to the tropics. Some people just like the general tropics. I got a very specific spot in the tropics. Once again, opportunities could come up, things could happen. That might not be the most advantageous place in a lot of areas, but for food, hands down. So at least I can envision a future. I have something to look for where I get back to my really good tropical fruit. But even so, even if I was going to be in this area for a very, very, very long time, okay, this isn't a super hostile area. You've watched me do it for a year. I do eat some cooked food, but you know, I get bananas for almost nothing. Like I showed you those, I found 85 for $3 yesterday. I get mangoes. I get mangoes at a fairly reasonable price between different places. What else? So that keeps me going. So, you know, right there, I can be fully raw here if I want to. It's just, you know, I can't keep on my weight if I do that. But there's a lot of places, and I won't even mention particular places, because then that just, like, people get off the subject. Then they'll defend that particular place. But yeah, there's a lot of places. No, I'd be doing a high carb, whole food, plant-based lifestyle. I'd probably be trying to eat as much fruit as I could, depending on what I was able to get there and what I could afford there. I would still try to get as high a percentage as possible of my nutrition and my food through the fruit. And then, you know, salads and greens, you know, probably in places where it's harder to find fruit, it's probably easier still to get greens. So I would go with whatever fruit and greens I had, and then I would just make the best choices after that. I would choose things like, for my carbohydrates, or, you know, like the sweet potatoes, the quinoas. It's a good grain, you know, it's actually got something to it besides just plain white rice and plain white potatoes. You know, I would probably eat cooked on a regular basis, and I wouldn't even be beating my head against the wall trying to fight against something, trying to do something that's unnatural. And I know so many people out there, and that's why people are leaving this lifestyle every day and leaving a whole food plant-based lifestyle every day, because they're stubborn. And they're like, if I can't do this highest version of raw, I ain't gonna do any of it at all. And they hear all this convoluted BS in groups and what have you, like, you know, cooked is poison and raw is law and it has to be raw. Okay, well then, if you believe that, don't rattle all that BS off from somewhere that's hostile to do this. So if you really believe this lifestyle, leave. Go somewhere. Go where we're supposed to be for this lifestyle. Once again, like I say, this is just me spitting from where I'm coming from, mostly because people want me to kind of like come up with a plan for their area, and I'm like, man, I've never been there before. I don't know. I can guess, I can throw just wild speculations out there, but in the end, no. I wouldn't be trying to do a fully raw food diet in a lot of different areas. Number one, well, another thing besides the location, what you can get, and the affordability of it is also too, in those difficult places, it seems like you got to put so much time into it, because then you got to be chopping and making stuff and doing this and this all the time. So no, I probably wouldn't follow. I would follow as much of a raw food diet as possible wherever I was. But yeah, I wouldn't just like, oh my God, okay, let me see, how can I stay raw here? Because I think a lot of times what happens, and I'll finish with this, is people make poor choices to stay raw. That's it. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you like it, let me finish with one last thing there. What it all boils down to in the end is do the best you can. So if you like this one, please give me a thumbs up, and we will see you guys again tomorrow. Peace.